Throat training was my first session. He just showed up with open mouth gag, handcuffs, leg restraints, and some kind of like metal bar. He told me he was gonna go drop my son off to my grandparents and he'll be back so we can start. I ain't gonna lie, I was scared as fuck. He had already put out what he wanted me to wear, so when he got back, I would be on my knees ready to serve. When he got back to the apartment, I remember my heart, I could hear it in my head. First he bound my legs, then the wrist cuffs, then the mouth ball gag.
AJ is on some 50 Shades of Grey type of stuff. AJ is on some 50 Shades of... AJ says if you're gonna stay with him, you're starting throat sessions, training sessions tonight. These guys exist apparently.
We breathed. It was puke everywhere. It was so traumatizing. I felt my jaw locking up, and it still didn't matter. I was so happy when he was done. It felt like I had semi-died a few times and kept coming back. He took everything off of me. He told me I did so good, that he was so proud of me. I was shaking. I couldn't even speak. My jaw was like, I couldn't. He ran me a bath. He put me in the tub and he bathed me. Told me that in time I would get used to it. Morning, I was so sore. I could barely speak. I was still in shock. But he had already texted me what to wear to be ready for that night. The trainings varied depending on what he was feeling like. He was into feet, so foot worship was an easy night because it was just him pretty much having his way with my feet. Bondage nights, full body latex nights, you name it, he probably tried it. A few weeks had passed and he was right. I did become numb to it. I think he could see that things was changing because I barely spoke anymore. I just kind of went with the flow. He told me to put on some shoes and come upstairs with my son one morning. And I was like, oh Lord, what now? He was standing next to a car, a Mitsubishi Diamante, I think is what it was called. He handed me the keys and told me there was nothing that he wouldn't do for me. I was so happy. I think that was the first time that I smiled in weeks. It already had a car seat in the back, so we decided to go for a ride.
I can pretty much tell that your soul was leaving your body at this point. Like, that man was sucking the soul out of you. Let's just go ahead and jump back into it. And all it took was a Mitsubishi to get you back right?
And I felt like while I was driving and the breeze was just blowing on me, all that just kind of disappeared. It just disappeared. He had me right back where he needed me to be. That night, AJ said we were going to a party. Told me what to wear, what time to be ready. It was this huge house, kind of like a mini mansion. It was a whole lot going on in there. If I had to describe it, I would probably call it like a fetish party. We walking around and different people's like tapping him up.
Oh, you was at one of those Diddy parties, huh? Without the oil, huh? Ooh, let's hear about it.
And stopping what they're doing with other people and like, hey, AJ, he's talking to them, you good? And in my head, I'm like, damn, come here a lot. He took me upstairs. We passed a few rooms. Then we got to this one room that was empty. He asked me what I thought about the place. I told him I didn't even know places like this exist. He explained to me that people have fetishes that they're not so comfortable speaking on. And this is a place that gives them an opportunity to explore. I told him I could understand that, but why are we here? He asked me if I could ever see myself being a dom. I said, how could I see myself being a dom when you're my dom? He said, and I'll always be your dom. But that doesn't mean that you can't also switch and be a dom. I told him that I wasn't into women, and I can't see myself doing the things that he did to me to another woman. He told me I wouldn't be dealing with women. I'd be dealing with men. My heart dropped to my ass. All I could see was the movie Players Club, and I was about to get my ass beat up. I started talking hysterically. AJ, what do you mean men? Men don't want to be beat up. Men don't want to be degraded. They don't want to be like, blah, 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 blah. He sat me down, told me to breathe. He asked me if I trust him. I said, yeah. He told me men pay really good money for these kind of services, and I won't ever have to have sex with them. He said he would never share my body in that way. I said, okay. That night he sent in a guy. He was like 6 feet tall. He had a black mask on his face and a collar on his neck. He got on his knees and he had the leash in his hand to serve me. I was shaking. I didn't know what to do. He started kissing my feet. I think he could sense how new I was to the world of fetishes because he started guiding me in a way, asking me, would you like me to this? Would you like me to that? That ride home that night was super silent. I had a lot in my head. I had never had that kind of control over a man before, so it was some new territory. I can't lie. I kind of liked it. AJ started taking me to the House of Fetishes 2-3 times a week. There are so many fetishes. It got to a point where I was actually excited to find out what kind of guy I was going to have, what kind of fetish tonight that I would possibly learn. I became addicted to the power, and me and AJ's relationship was stronger.
Dude, when you hear the stories of men actually grooming women for something specific, right? You kind of think like, how far-fetched is that, right? You hear the term grooming, like, no way this dude groomed this woman, this 18-year-old or this 17-year-old or whatever it is, and you get to a point where like she's a grown adult and that she's yours, right? But and like when you hear that word groom, that's what I think of when I'm listening to her story, because it's like she is pretty much getting groomed like throughout this story, and it's apparent that AJ ain't messing around, dog. AJ got some secret plot, secret Diddy type stuff going on, and we about to find out what the hell is going on.
Than ever. AJ had to go out of town for a few days, and I didn't really have much friends anymore because AJ kind of isolated me. But I knew there was one girl that would still pick up the phone. I hit her up. She was still working at SCORE. She was like, come through tonight. It's going to be jumping. DJ Nick's is hosting. I was like, okay. I had a car. I didn't tell AJ because I knew he wouldn't let me go. It felt so nice to just be regular and just have fun. I was dancing. I was having like drinks. It was fun. I'm there about 2 hours before this girl named Keisha come up to me and asked me if I know AJ. I recognized her face from the fetish house, so I said, you know I do. She asked me what we had going on. I told her I don't speak in riddles, so if you had something to say. She kind of smirked, laughed or whatever and said, all right, and she walked off. Later on, I went outside to catch some air, and she caught up with me again. She told me she had been down with AJ for years now, and that all the girls live at the house, but I'm the only one that seemed to keep coming and going, so she wanted to know what's up. I said, down with AJ how? All the girls live at what house? What the fuck is you on? She said she's AJ's bottom. She said, that house you keep coming and going to, that's his. She said all the girls in there belong to him. My head started spinning. I told her I didn't believe her. I told her me and him have a good thing going. We have our own place. He just bought me a car. Her mouth dropped. She said, what the fuck you mean y'all got your own place? I said, yeah, bitch, we got our own place. She said, prove it. I gave her my number and told her to call me the next morning, and I'll give her the address to where we are, and we can talk to him together. AJ was coming home the next morning, and I knew he was going to come over. I knew he was going to make breakfast. I knew he was going to spend time with my son. He never failed at those things. So I told her to come over before that. AJ was real particular, so I know he would always text me when he's about 10-15 minutes away because he wants me to make sure that everything is together. He didn't like clutter. He didn't like mess. I told her to hide in the bathroom. He came in the house, hugged me, kissed my son, asked us how things was going, put his stuff down, stashed some money, and said he was going to take a shower. When he got out the shower and got dressed, he came out into the living room. Me and her was sitting there waiting. He looked at her and smirked. He said, what y'all got going on?
I pause the video, man. I just want to point out a few things that I've seen, man. Like, looking at her, she got a sweater with some holes in it. Her hair isn't done. It's almost like, how can I take her serious? Like, when I'm like really looking at these details, but then I'm listening to her talk about AJ. AJ is a man with so many different type of women, right? He got women in his house, apparently, that just has different things going on for him, and yet he's messing with you and your son. The only thing I can think of is AJ has been living this fast bachelor life for so long that you've given him a glimpse of what it can be like being in a family, like having a, woman at home and a child at home. And he's pretty much, that's the only thing that's going on with him. Because I'm asking, like, why would a man that has money and all these other things just stay locked down to you? But let's just ask the question, just why would he do something like that?
Said that y'all know each other. He tells me to go put the baby in the room. While I'm doing that, I hear her start yelling, so you got a place with her? So you been lying this whole time? So you got all us in that one house all day, boo, but you over here playing house? I turned up the TV in my son's room, closed the door, came back out. At this point, the way she acted, I knew it couldn't be no lie. The whole time she going off, I'm just staring at AJ like if I had laser tag eyes, I would burn your mother loving head off. And he looking right back at me. He slaps Keisha. Everything went silent. Dragged her by her hair out of the apartment. Told her to take her ass home and don't ever pull no shit like this again. She left. My heart was on fire. I was in such a shock and rage. Everything started spinning. I asked him if it was true. He told me, now that I know, we might as well come clean about everything. He told me that he never intended on finding me and falling in love. He told me I didn't know what I was capable of and that he needed to give me time. He told me I was different from them and that he didn't want to share me with anyone else. That the room that he had me working in was the room that was eventually going to be mine. He told me he'd be back in a couple days and I need to be ready to go to work. I cried. I cried so much. I couldn't believe I was that stupid. The next day, Keisha sent me a text. She said the house got raided and AJ got arrested. I looked at the news. I saw that there was a raid that happened at a house. They found drugs, money. He got sentenced to 9 years. I used all the money he stashed in the house to start over. Changed my phone number, and I never talked to AJ again.
Whoa. Man, there are so many layers to pull back on this one, dude. Like, the storytelling, I'm hoping that it's just a storytelling, man, but the details are incredible. It's like it's a true life story, and I wish there was more to this clip, like information on like where I can look to see how true this is. But man, AJ was on something. Boy was on a power, he was on a power high, dog. Like, you just don't see that. And this is the type of stuff you literally only see in movies, like 50 Shades of Grey type stuff, man. Anything else, I don't know what else to say. This man was literally forming a harem at this point, but just for other people. My boy was a businessman, a harem owner, a harem manager, bruh, a wannabe at-home husband type of guy. AJ was just everything, dog. This dude was just goddamn vampire, in other words, bro. But like, this story is crazy, right? Let me know what you guys think, man. True, not true? What part of this story really stood out to you the most? Because man, there is so much going on.
What do you do for a living and stuff?
I'm a content creator.
Oh, you be making YouTube videos and
Yeah,
Why you made that face?
I make videos.
Oh, what type? Mukbang. I like mukbang videos. That's the shit that be hitting for me. Mukbangs. You know what I'm saying? What type of videos? What YouTube videos?
More on the adult side, so.
Bro, I know Apple is scared as hell when they see them choppers coming, dog. I don't even know if somebody was like, man, would y'all let her take a shot, dog? Let's just be honest, dog. You ain't scared, bro. I know that overbite is like, dog, that's just scary in my opinion.
You sleep with a man, you should be down for whatever he wants you to be down for. Right. But the problem is, how is it you'll give your body, but you wouldn't give him service? You wouldn't give him a home-cooked meal. Imagine you let a guy go in your body raw with no condom, and I know everyone on this panel done done it, and he could literally give you a disease that will take your life. You give him that opportunity, but you won't cook him a meal unless he pay.
Yeah, 1%. Like I agree with that. Homie was cooking, man. So I mean, you allow that man to have that opportunity and that blessing, but nonetheless, like you won't do a meal. You won't put something on the stove, man. You won't chop some veggies up, some fruit up, man. You won't do that unless he's paying. But you give him the bigger blessing, the stuff. Women confuse me, dog. And these are these women that get rizzed up by these pookies and just like that's it, dog. And they'll do it happily, like happily. They'll go and happily give over the sheets to somebody. But a good man comes around and he's like, look, I ain't really got it right now, but you know, like we can go half on it. Oh, if you're going half on it, look, I ain't cooking no meals. You know, I ain't playing wifey. These are the type of the mindset. But meanwhile, like name one man that's ever been in a relationship not working that's willing to know, like, I gotta pay bills. You know what I'm saying? There are probably a very few out there, but most men are just gonna go to work and know, like, man, I work to pay bills. It's kind of a thing that's set almost, you know, unless you just a bum. But most of the guys that are working individuals know, like, man, I work to take care of stuff, pay bills. You know, like those are the things that we do.
Does anyone else find it insane that the election is making people realize that they should not be? Like, how did Trump getting elected make people realize, damn, you know what? Maybe I should stop slinging out like this is a buffet at Cece's Pizza. Like, that's what made you realize that? What the f? Like, your 12th body in 3 months didn't do it for you, and people nicknaming you Slurp and Burp didn't do that either, but Orange Man getting elected as president does. How the f does that make any sense? And look, guys, I have no issues with a hoes being a hoe. If you want to be a hoe, by all means, be a hoe. Slang cooch, I don't give a shit. My problem is that I know for a fact that people are not gonna be doing this 4B movement after like 3 months.
No, let's just be honest, man. Look, yeah, 4B isn't a thing that United States can do. If y'all not familiar with 4B, it's something that's happening in South Korea where the females are clicking up. I mean, seriously clicking up, and they're just standing on business, supposedly, man. They're not getting married, they're not giving up the box, man. I don't know what else they're doing, but you know, they're just pretty much tired of men running things. So like they came together. But dog, we live this part of the world, man. Women hate one another already as it is. I can't really see women clicking up and doing this at all, bro. This is probably a phase where they're like, girl, we're gonna do this, and then 2-3 months, like you said, it comes around and it's game over, dog. Like I really think so. So that's me, guys. But I appreciate you watching. Please like the video and subscribe if you haven't. I'll see you on the next one.